Tonight, we're taking a closer look at a lawsuit from the city of Detroit against the owner of a Michigan building. The city says the building is falling apart with multiple blight violations, and they're asking the court to make the building's owner bring it up to code or allow the city to tear down parts of it. 7 News Detroit reporter Jasmine Barmore raising multiple voices from residents who live in the area about what they want to see happen with the building and give us a peek inside.
This is the historic building that the city says they want fixed or torn down. So I went and talked to some people who work and live in the neighborhood, and they tell me that they feel the same.
I've seen rock fall off this building, and the way it hits the ground, it could really hurt somebody or kill somebody, technically.
Falling debris is just one of the many blight violations the city of Detroit cited in a lawsuit against the owner of 220 Bagley Street. The lawsuit was filed by the city back in May, and according to the suit, multiple emergency orders were issued before due to the public complaining about rocks falling off the building.
The Michigan Theater Building, 220 Bagley, has 58 blight violations, 5 of them for unsafe conditions, 2 that in fact say that we are in imminent danger, and the danger is sufficient enough that we want the building completely shut down to all public access.
The Michigan building holds a historic space for many reasons. One being that part of the building used to be a theater before it was converted into a parking garage where events and films have been made, like the movie 8 Mile.
I think this property should be restored, or maybe you should sell it to Eminem and have him restored.
The current owner of the space is businessman Dennis Kefalinos. The city says Dennis has a history of blight violations for the many properties that he owns.
There is not a Dennis Kefalinos redevelopment project that I can point you to.
But according to a spokesperson for Dennis, the city has it wrong.
The truth for a lot of the buildings that he owns in the city is they were purchased in a neglected state, and he's just been putting money into it, trying to restore power to these buildings, trying to restore structural integrity to the buildings, and really just trying to maintain and preserve historic architecture in the city of Detroit.
Nico says Dennis does not deny the public safety issues with the falling rocks, and they are fixing it. But he says there is nothing else wrong with the building.
This area right here of the chipping paint, this is what you'll see around the building in stairwells and stuff, but pretty much like this. The flooring is different, maybe the walls are different. Been remodeling a little bit, and then we want to try to get all this reactivated soon. Fire licensing, showing that it's February of 24. This is connected to the top floor of the garage or the theater. So those big holes, those aren't failures or nothing. That is rigging points. Those are man-made holes. There is pieces of the plaster that still does occasionally fall. It's small pieces, but that's why we don't do anything in here unless we go through, we get an engineering report before anybody comes through.
But the city says they still think the building is not compliant with the city ordinance.
The aura of lawlessness in the city of Detroit has come to an end, that as long as we have available resources, we are going to, in fact, do everything we can to enforce our ordinances.
In Detroit, I'm Jasmine Barmore, 7 News Detroit.